Hello world, my name is Joaquin Evans, and this is the first video in a series of videos I plan to release called Messages to Self. And what I'll be speaking about in these videos is the topic of spirituality and also the topic of the awakening process and the process of enlightenment. And the very first thing that I introduce to my students and I go over with my students is their personal goals. And then I ask them a question that I think is very important to know the answer to. And the question I ultimately ask them all is, what's your ultimate goal? So not just what your goals are, not your short-term, long-term goals. What's your ultimate goal? What's the ultimate goal? And I receive a number of answers, and those answers range from things like to be a great parent to my child, for my parents. For my religious folks, it's usually something like to be a faithful servant to God. For my ambitious people, it's usually to be highly successful in my career. Some people just want to live a good life. So these are all the different types of I get a number of answers from, for every person I ask, it's something different. And what I explain to them is each of those goals you mention aren't, in my opinion, your ultimate goal. What I believe is we all have the exact same ultimate goal. And that ultimate goal for all of us is happiness. These other goals we pick, whether that's to be a great parent or to be successful in business or just to live a good life, whatever that means to you, we choose these goals for ourselves because we believe that ultimately they'll provide us some measure of happiness. We wouldn't pick these things if we didn't think obtaining them would make us happy, right? And so when I'm explaining the process of enlightenment to people, what I explain to them is that it's very important to simplify what you're doing. The process of enlightenment itself is not easy, but it's actually a very simple process. All right. And what I believe is that you haven't mastered something until you can simplify it. Right. So I believe that mastery is equivalent to simplicity. So if happiness is the goal, if we can learn to produce it internally rather than doing what most people do, which is to go seek it in external things, then we can ultimately take ownership of our own happiness. And if we can take ownership of our own happiness, then we can begin to cut our ties to all of these things outside of ourselves. And we'll see an exponential growth in our evolution, in our process of evolution and spiritual awakening. And in the next couple of videos, I'll give you some tips and tools to accomplish that exact thing. Once again, I'm Joaquin Evans, and this is Messages to Self, and I'll see you next time.